Good morning, afternoon, evening, and welcome to the Mish interviews. We're back again with Steve from Hybropsyche, of Hybropsyche rather, and when this time we're going to be talking about Rehab. Hello, Steve. How are you?
Yes, fine. Yes,
You've managed to come back for more, have you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
that was very stupid of you, wasn't it? Okay, so we're going to talk about Rehab, which is the second book. And tell us a little. Well, I'll just give you a little bit of an example of what it's about. For those of you who are into Blake 7, possibly a little bit of Doctor Who as well, got a few bits of influence there. A really fast-paced, action-packed sci-fi we have here for you. So those of you who are into that sort of thing, you're going to absolutely love this, because I did. You've even got a little slight influence of Amicus Hammer Horror in certain chapters. So never mind about me. Let's let Steve talk about the book. Tell us a little bit about the book, Steve.
Okay, right. So this is set sort of post Third World War. I was being quite optimistic in saying that post Third World War would be nearer the 22nd century than what it may actually be. But so the long and short of it is there's basically less than 1 billion humans left on the planet. It's not just because of radiation, because of every other means that humans could figure out of destroying the world. The air is allegedly not safe outside, so everybody lives in a kind of glass-covered structure. I'm not talking Logan's Run domes type of thing, because I think sometimes glass domes are quite wondrous, but I wanted never-ending streets where you just got houses and that type of thing, all just down and just completely covered in glass that you could not get out of. So you've even got a kind of the younger generation being brought up in this world, and been fed a certain propaganda that all the pictures that they ever see have always got the glass roof structure in. So there's a little bit of a kind of a stab at there's a picture of the Haywain by Constable. And even that's got a glass roof structure in it, as if to say this is how the world's always been. So the neural rehab aspect of it is a case of, if you're not, if you are sort of, maybe antisocial, disruptive, that type of thing, they have a humane way of trying to deal with it, or allegedly humane, where they will play scenarios out directly into your brain. So there's a first character called Charlie, he was kind of antisocial, that type of thing. So he got recruited into what was called the militia dream, and or the neural rehab, where you would wear a sensory headset, go into a virtual reality room, and play out scenarios, combat scenarios, survival scenarios, going without food, or this type of thing. And so that was one of the characters. Another character was Jason, who was kind of the opposite. He was completely regressive, didn't like the technology, basically too philosophical for his own good in that sort of society. Says situation again. So in his kind of situation, they start him off in neural rehab, where he's in a Victorian setting and he has to kind of work as a doctor to a kind of Mrs. Rochester type of character. The trouble is, as the story goes on, she actually, or that image, if you like, begins to invade his consciousness rather than just his subconsciousness. So she becomes a part of him. She's always there influencing him in the end. A third one is a crash victim that starts off, and she basically is getting memories reintegrated into her life and having a life set up for her again. But she doesn't know whether it's her real life or not. The protagonist is Xanthi Cousteau. He knows certain corrupt things have happened, and she was put into neural rehab and set into a kind of a simple day job situation, but she's working to expose what's happening with the government. The government's not based on Earth anymore. They're based on a planet called Jasapa, which you do see elements of these in this story. The sequel's got a bit more. So this Jasapa are a kind of a caste-based system where the long and short of it is the Jasapa were going to welcome Earth into a wider community, but the corruption of government is making them have second thoughts. And you also have clones, and clones are being used and abused, a bit like human trafficking, modern slavery. And again, I hope I've been really sensitive about this when I've been writing this. There are characters. There's Clara 1, for example, who left Earth and was kind of put into a Jasapa spiritual caste as a means of protecting her. So she becomes spiritual. There's Clara 2, who was protected from all the nastiness. And so in her case, she was put into the militia. So she becomes a major at a very young age. So she's kind of, how can I say, she's in a way too big for her own boots, because she's got lots of knowledge, lots of experience, and she's only 15 years old. But she doesn't know the kind of things where she doesn't know how to just live a life as anybody else would.
Yeah.
And she won't trust anybody else, but she does begin to trust the Jason character when they come along, and he kind of acts for a short while like a father to her. So yeah, that's about it. We do also have a robot or a droid with a broad Yorkshire accent. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think on that point of view, I'll shut up now and ask for any questions.
I think it's a case of I'm going to make a point here. Were we not all too big for our boots when we were about 15?
Yeah, I think we were definitely. But the thing about
I know I was.
Yeah, yeah, just about everybody is. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's in a way. Yeah, we all think we've got it right. We all think the world's wrong. In some cases, we're not wrong.
Yeah, but in a lot of cases, we are.
Yeah, but I think with Clara too, the point is that she was just literally put into this malicious situation. Yeah. And she was the best. She learned to be the best, do everything the best way. So her people skills are rubbish. So she won't have had the kind of skills that, anybody else growing up in, if you like, the normal world, the real world, would have got. And that's kind of reflected in the sequel as well. Okay. So, yeah, in a way, she's just, the military is her family.
Right, yeah.
So, or the militia, yeah.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about the sci-fi aspects and the spiritual aspects of the book, please.
Yeah. Well, I've always had... I think the first time I'd ever seen this was on Battlestar Galactica, where it was quite, the original version, not the modern rubbish Scrossy space version.
Not impressed with that way.
No, I'm not at all. But... yeah, so I think that's the first time I kind of really noticed how they did that, and just because we've got this wonderful technology, does that mean that we stop believing in God or we stop believing in any kind of spirituality? I mean, I suppose you could argue that in Star Wars you've got the Force type of thing, whether that's considered. I think there's Jedi churches, I think, in America now, aren't there? But there's also Klingon churches, I think, in America.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you can get a degree in Klingon if you want, I think, in America and all. But,
I knew you could get a degree in Star Trek.
Yeah,
if I said that word.
I mean, personally, I've always had a certain spiritual belief myself. I'm not a churchgoer necessarily. I don't necessarily believe in religion. But the possibility of a God, the possibility of an afterlife, that's always still kind of stuck with me anyway.
Yeah.
And I think, on the other hand, I'm humanist. I want to be able to... I'm not going to rely on the fact that, say, I'm being judged for for the next life, and therefore everything that I have done will be picked up in the next life. I also want to leave things behind that says what I've accomplished in this life and what I've tried to do. So there are, anyway, to the book, there are elements of the spirituality aspect of it. Yeah. There is a chapter called The Brain, the Soul, but I won't say any more than that.
Ah, yes.
And the other point is, I'd got a little line in there when it was about the kind of military getting a bit too big for their boots by saying, where was this God when when the Third World War happened and all this kind of thing, and another guy arguing the point that was a human Holocaust. It wasn't, it was saying, people who sort of say, oh, where was this God when this happened?
Yeah.
Usually when it's a human conception, they want God to come along and sweep up after us.
Exactly.
And I'll get off my soapbox a bit on that one.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, if you were to have this on an audio book or audio file format, whatever you'd like to call it nowadays, and whatever it's presented as, who would you get to read?
This is quite difficult again because with this one there's quite a few different accents in there. Because Xanthi Cousteau is French, so they need to be able to speak a little bit of French when there's certain very short French scenes, but obviously have the accent to be able to do the accent. People like Clara 1, Clara 2, Charlie, they're American, and then there's English people in there too, and obviously also you've got Reg, the Yorkshire accent. It do a lot of those. I could probably imagine again. What could I say? It could be somebody American doing all of that, and then somebody else could just do the Yorkshire bits. You could get me to do those if they want, because it's not very big. But I have put a Yorkshire glossary in the back of this book as well, so other people across the world might be able to understand what the Yorkshire bits are saying.
Yes.
Because I do remember that the film that came out called Kess. The one, A Kestrel for a Knave by Barry Hines.
Yeah.
The film version of that, if you buy the VHS version, then it's exactly as it was, brought Yorkshire, etc. But the DVD version, because it was being international, you had to really tame down the accent.
Oh, really?
Because the Americans just could not understand it, and they were saying it just, you might as well have sent it as in Bulgarian or something like that. So, the Yorkshire one was a bit of a difficult accent or to understand.
Definitely, it's one of those ones you got to get used to, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it just adds to the entertainment, really.
Oh,
you don't want it just to be dark and rebellious. I want some fun aspects in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. So you've now just mentioned there, dark and rebellious. Tell us a little bit about the rebellious side, because it is quite a rebellious story in here, and might just add to this really fast-paced throughout the book here. But yeah, tell us a little about the rebellious side of this.
My usual thing, same with Steely Amelia, I don't like the society says aspect of it. The fact that, again, it's almost, it kind of happens in our city situations, where every city just becomes this kind of glass clone of everything. Every city has nightclubs, restaurants, da-di-da-di-da. And it just, to me, it just seems, no matter how much you dress them up in this franchise, that franchise or the other, the people are exactly the same.
Right.
And, the thing I call the nightclub supremacy, which is basically everybody out seeking for perfection. And if you're not, then, so it's kind of, it was even covered quite well on one of the Mrs. Brown's Boys films.
Okay.
Where they were trying to save Dublin market. And but the end of it was just saying, eventually everywhere's just going to turn into, cities with trendy nightclubs, and this is something with the character we're trying to keep of the place.
Yeah.
And it is just that kind of aspect. I don't like it. No matter how pretty and everything they all are, no matter how many retail outlets we get with, labelled clothes on and things like that, it doesn't change who the people are. It just seems to be...
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the more smartly dressed people are, the worse they seem to be.
Yeah.
You go to like an indie pub or whatever, or a goth pub, that type of thing, and you'll find a lot more decent people in there than what you would in a, so the whole thing is like the future's gone exactly the same.
Yeah.
And so it's only, even with so few of us left on the planet, less than 1 billion at that point, then, we start to see with planets like Jasapa that's quite spiritual. They worship life.
Right,
So, and it's, there's four castes, spiritual, warrior, worker, and science. and all of those casts carry elements of the other 3 within them in the training. So it's kind of like a 5-year term to learn each cast if you wanted to.
Okay.
That type of thing. But yeah.
Excellent. Okay, we could probably finish it off there. So, neural rehab. Have you got any? Well, not neural rehab. Steve, have you got any extra
Comments? No.
The mission interviews are going down the pan here already. So, neural rehab is on Kindle. Was it water spoons? Water spoons? Weatherstones?
Yeah, you get a free cup of coffee and a buffy and you read this as well.
Yes, right, yeah. Definitely on Kindle, so check it out there. You just actually with Amazon, you can just type in neural rehab and that'll pretty much come up, to be honest with you, because it's a very original title, you see, so it's easily to find. And any last comments? No, you ain't got any last comments. No, you said that already, didn't you? That's right. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming in yet again, Steve. You're a very brave person, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
I've got a funny feeling we might.
It's funny, that, isn't it? Yeah. Mission Interviews, signing out.